You might be killing your own plant with a shovel right when it has only just started asking for help. Yellow leaves and drooping stems are not always a death sentence. A lot of the time, that is just the plant's way of saying, I am missing one exact thing. Because many plants are not dead yet. They are just missing one exact thing, and you have read the problem wrong. Lack of nutrients, heat shock, or roots drowning in water. And the interesting thing is, what helps the plant bounce back may already be sitting around your home in the kitchen, in the weed pile, in the chicken coop, even in something you were about to throw away after dinner. Not because the old ways are useless, they are just too cheap to be advertised hard. Today, I am going to show you 21 natural fertilizers that can bring back the plant you thought was dead. Do not skip this because many of these do not cost even $1 extra since you already had the ingredients before you clicked on this video. Number 21, aspirin spray. I know it sounds a little weird, but the first tip is not sitting next to a bag of fertilizer or a watering can. It is right there in your medicine cabinet. Aspirin does not feed plants by giving them nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. It is more like a gentle reminder to the plant that says, get ready, fungal disease, and bad weather may be coming. For plants that often get stressed after transplanting or start getting spots on the leaves by mid-season, this tip is worth trying early. The process is simple. Take 1 regular aspirin, about 325 milligrams, drop it into 1 gallon of water, and let it dissolve completely. Add 1 drop of dish soap if you want the solution to stick to the leaves better. Then lightly spray it on the leaves in the early morning or cool late afternoon. This tip works well for tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, and plants that are prone to leaf fungus. And remember, aspirin is better for prevention than for saving a plant that is already badly sick. Did you get that first fertilizer down? Do not get distracted or leave too soon, because next I am going to introduce something that comes from the ocean, but can help plants in the garden recover faster than you might think. Number 20, liquid seaweed/kelp extract. Do you like seaweed? Maybe not. But your garden plants may like it more than you think. Seaweed lives in the ocean, where there is salt, wind, waves, sun, and cold. Because of that, seaweed extract often contains many trace minerals and compounds that help plants recover after stress, grow new roots, and regain strength. Using it is very simple. Buy liquid seaweed or kelp extract, dilute it very lightly according to the bottle label, then water the base of the plant or spray the leaves in the early morning or cool late afternoon. So seaweed is for tired plants. But if a plant looks like it is about to die in a pot of soaking wet soil, do not give it more food. At that point, what it needs first is oxygen. Number 19, hydrogen peroxide, 3%. There is one kind of a wilting plant where adding more fertilizer only makes things worse, a plant wilting in wet soil. If the leaves are drooping and the stem is getting soft, but when you touch the soil, it is still soaking wet, the plant may not be hungry. It may be suffocating. When soil holds water too long, air cannot get into the root zone. The roots lack oxygen, slowly weaken, and then root rot fungus gets a chance to develop. At that point, what you need is not more fertilizer, but hydrogen peroxide, 3%, the regular kind sold at the pharmacy. When it is diluted and watered around the root zone, it breaks down into water and oxygen. That oxygen can help the root area breathe better in the early stage. Only use the 3% kind, dilute it before watering, and use it short term. Do not use the high concentration kind, do not mix it with bleach, and do not turn it into a weekly watering schedule. Now let's go into the kitchen. I am going to share a natural fertilizer that can start from the vegetable scraps left after dinner. Number 18, vegetable scrap digestate. The kitchen is more magical than we think. Things you were about to throw away after dinner can become a free batch of fertilizer for your garden plants. Wilted vegetables, soft tomatoes, old cucumbers, greens that are no longer good to eat. All of them still have nutrients inside. When you chop them up, put them in a bucket, cover them with water, and let microbes work. Those nutrients slowly move into a liquid fertilizer strong enough that it has to be diluted. The process is very simple. Gather leftover vegetables, chop them small or crush them lightly, put them in a bucket, cover them with water, then use a plate or something heavy to keep them submerged. Cover loosely and let it ferment for about 1 to 2 weeks. When using it, dilute it first, then water around the base of the plant. This tip works well for plants with mild yellowing leaves, green vegetable beds, tomatoes or peppers that are slowing down. Do not use it straight, do not spray it on leaves, and do not put meat grease or salty food into the bucket. And stay in the kitchen for just a little longer. This time, we are going to pay attention to vegetables that almost got thrown away. Curious number 17, Old Potato Plus Leaf Mold Ferment. I really like this tip because it does not feel like a recipe from a gardening book. It feels like something a gardener came up with after looking at a few old potatoes on the kitchen shelf. The good part is not just the potato. The good part is the principle behind it. The starch in the potato feeds microbes and leaf mold, meaning decomposed leaf soil brings living microbes into the bucket. When those two things meet water and sit for a few days, you get a watering liquid that helps wake up the soil around the roots. The process is quick. Blend or mash a few old potatoes, drop them into a bucket of water, add a handful of clean leaf mold, then let it sit for about 3 days. When using it, dilute it very well, about 1 part fermented liquid to 30 parts clean water. Then water around the base of the plant. We are closing out the first group methods that give weak plants a chance to bounce back faster. Let me take a sip of water, then we will move into the next group. Meanwhile, if you find this list useful, hit like for me. Number 16. Banana Peel Fertilizer. If there is one thing in the kitchen that has been overhyped the most online and gardening circles, it is probably banana peel. But that does not mean it is useless. Banana peel is not a magic trick that brings every dead plant back to life. What it has the most of is potassium, a nutrient that is very useful when plants are flowering, setting fruit, or needing to hold water better on hot days. For tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and roses, banana peel can be a cheap supplement if you use it the right way. Do not throw a whole peel on top of the soil and hope the plant changes its life by tomorrow morning. A cleaner way is to chop the banana peel, soak it in water for 24 to 48 hours, then dilute that water and use it around the base of the plant. Put the leftover peel in compost or bury it deep. And if banana peel is the most famous thing in the kitchen, the next one is the most misunderstood used coffee grounds. Number 15. Used coffee grounds. Do you like coffee? I do. But my garden does not need the coffee in the cup. It needs what is left in the filter. Used coffee grounds are a small thing worth saving. They add organic matter, a little slow nitrogen, and help the soil stay looser if you use them the right way. Many people think coffee grounds will make the soil strongly acidic, but their real value is not turning the soil acidic. It is feeding the soil little by little. The best way to use them is to sprinkle a thin layer around the base and lightly mix it into the topsoil, or even simpler, put them straight into compost. Do not pour them into a thick layer. Coffee grounds can hold too much moisture and make the soil tight. Number 14. Full Spectrum Kitchen Brew. This batch brings together the most familiar things in the kitchen: banana peel for potassium, crushed eggshells for calcium, used coffee grounds for organic matter, and a little slow nitrogen Epsom salt for magnesium, and blackstrap molasses to feed microbes. Add warm water and you have a liquid fertilizer that is much more complete than each ingredient standing alone. The process is very simple. Put everything into a bucket with about 1 gallon of warm water, cover, loosely let it sit for 3 to 5 days, then strain off the liquid. When using it, dilute it and water around the base of the plant. This formula works well for tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and squash, especially when the plant is flowering, setting fruit, or slowing down in the middle of the season. So we have finished the fertilizer group from the kitchen. Let me move this bucket out of the way because the next group will be much smaller yeast sugar and an army of microbes you cannot see with the naked eye. Do not forget your pen and paper for notes. Number 13. Yeast fertilizer. Yeast fertilizer is not a complete fertilizer. It is more like a light boost for the microbial system around the roots, especially when tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, or zucchini are flowering and setting fruit, but starting to slow down in the middle of the season. The process is very simple. Add 20 grams of dry yeast to 6 to 8 liters of warm water. Add a handful of white sugar or brown sugar, stir. Well, then let it rest for about 2 hours. After that, use it right away to water around the base of the plant. Do not leave it overnight because this batch is best when it is fresh. Remember, water that is too hot will kill the yeast, and do not water with it week after week non-stop. It will not make the fruit puff up like bread, but it can wake up the soil around the roots so the plant can take up nutrients better. Number 12. Comfrey Super Bucket. There are some plants you grow to eat. There are some plants you grow to look at. And then there is comfrey, the kind of plant you grow to feed other plants. The good thing about comfrey is its very deep root system. It pulls minerals up from the lower layers of soil into the leaves where many regular vegetable plants cannot reach. So when you cut comfrey leaves and ferment them in a bucket, you are turning one corner of the garden into a natural fertilizer factory. Here is how to do it. Cut mature comfrey leaves, pack them into a bucket, and you can add a little seaweed, clean weeds, or a few organic fertilizer pellets, like sheep pellets. Cover with water, loosely cover the bucket, and let it sit for 3 to 4 weeks. When using it, mix about 1 part comfrey liquid with 10 parts clean water, then water around the base of the plant. Number 11. Nettle tea. Nettle sounds like the kind of plant growing around a witch's house in a fairy tale. But for long-time gardeners, it is actually a bucket of fertilizer waiting to be made. Because it is simple, it is rich in minerals and natural nitrogen. When soaked in water for a few weeks, the nutrients in the stems and leaves slowly move into the liquid, creating a liquid fertilizer that works really well for plants that need to push out leaves and grow stronger stems. How to make it: wear gloves, cut nettles before they go to seed. Put them in a bucket, cover with water. Loosely cover it and keep it away from the house door. After 2 to 3 weeks, mix about 1 part nettle liquid with 10 parts clean water, then water around the base of the plant. This tip works well for leafy greens, brassicas, and tomatoes in the early stage. Do not use it straight, and do not water too much with it once the plant has entered the fruiting stage. Number 10. Weed bucket green manure. There is a pretty funny moment in gardening. You pull weeds because you think they are stealing nutrients from your plants. Then you go buy fertilizer to replace nutrients for those plants. If the weeds are clean, have not gone to seed, and have not been sprayed with chemicals, do not rush to throw them all away. They have already pulled minerals from the soil and stored them in their stems and leaves, and you can return that back to the garden. The process is very easy. Gather clean weeds, chop them small or crush them, put them in a bucket, cover with water, and loosely cover it. Let it sit for about 1 to 2 weeks, then dilute it, and water around the base of the plant. Weeds are not always the enemy. Sometimes they are just fertilizer standing in the wrong place. You are halfway through the journey now. Stay patient a little longer, because the second half has things that are older, stronger, and stranger. Number 9. Chicken manure tea. Now we leave the weed pile and go straight to the chicken coop. If you have ever smelled fresh chicken manure, you will understand why I say this. This stuff is powerful, but you cannot be careless with it. Aged chicken manure is one of the strongest manures, especially rich in nitrogen and phosphorus. It can help weak plants push out stronger stems and leaves bloom better and regain strength faster than many gentler fertilizers. The method is to use aged chicken manure. Put it in a cloth bag, burlap sack, or old pillowcase, then soak it in a bucket of water for 3 to 5 days. When using it, dilute it until it looks like weak tea. then water around the base of the plant. Do not pour it right against young stems. This tip works well for tomatoes, peppers, corn, leafy vegetables, or plants that need a strong push. But absolutely do not use fresh chicken manure, do not mix it too strong, and do not pour it on leaves of vegetables eaten raw. So besides chicken manure, what else can we use? I will reveal it right at number 8. Do not leave yet. Number 8, cow manure tea. Aged cow manure is milder than chicken manure, but it is very good for adding organic matter, helping soil become looser, holding moisture better, and feeding soil microbes. It is like a slow meal for the garden. The method is still simple. Use well-aged cow manure, put it in a cloth bag, burlap sack, or old pillowcase, then soak it in a bucket of water for 3 to 5 days. When using it, dilute it until it looks like weak tea and water around the base of the plant. This tip works well for vegetable beds, perennials, sandy soil, depleted soil, or gardens that need soil improvement. Do not use fresh cow manure, and if you are not sure where the manure came from, test it on a few plants first. Number 7, fish amino acid. If you have ever gone fishing, cleaned fish, or simply looked at a pile of fish heads and fish bones after dinner and thought this is just trash, now this is the moment to look at it differently. Fish amino acid is a way to ferment fish with brown sugar to create a liquid fertilizer rich in nitrogen and amino acids. Fish has protein. When fermented properly, that protein breaks down into a form that is easier for soil microbes and plants to use. Brown sugar does not just soften the smell, it also helps pull liquid out of the fish and feed the fermentation process. You can use fish heads, fish bones, fish guts, or small fish. Mix them with brown sugar at a nearly equal ratio. Put the mixture in a jar or plastic bucket, then cover it with cloth. Do not seal it tight, because this batch creates gas. This is not the nicest smelling recipe, but fish scraps can become one of the strongest fertilizers. Now we leave the fish smell behind and move to something cleaner: ash, charcoal, biochar, and ways to help soil hold nutrients longer. Number 6, wood ash. Clean wood ash has a lot of potassium and calcium. It can help plants grow sturdier, support flowering and fruit setting, and make soil less acidic. But that is also why you have to be careful. Ash affects soil pretty quickly, especially the pH. The safe way to use it is to sprinkle a very thin layer around the bed, or lightly mix it into the top layer of soil. Do not use it as a weekly fertilizer. It works better for slightly acidic soil and plants like tomatoes, brassicas, beets, asparagus, or some fruiting plants. Also, never use ash from painted wood, treated wood-colored paper, or BBQ charcoal with additives. Now we are starting the countdown of the final 5. Do not miss it, because this group does not just feed plants, it also helps soil hold water, hold nutrients, and stay alive longer through many seasons. Number 5, charged biochar. Think of biochar like a carbon sponge in the soil. It holds water, holds nutrients, and creates shelter for microbes. But there is one mistake a lot of people make. They spread fresh biochar straight into the soil. When it is still empty, it can pull nutrients around the roots into itself. So charge the biochar first. Use clean biochar or finely crushed clean wood charcoal, then soak it with compost tea manure, tea worm, casting tea diluted fish fertilizer, or mix it with moist compost for a few days. Only after that should you mix it into the topsoil or raised bed. This tip is great for sandy soil low in organic matter, or gardens that often lose nutrients after rain. Do not use BBQ charcoal with additives or charcoal soaked in lighter fluid. Remember that. Number 4, tomato bed booster. You only need 3 things: clean wood charcoal or biochar, used coffee grounds, and finely crushed eggshells. Charcoal helps the soil hold moisture, hold nutrients, and create a place for microbes to stay. Coffee grounds add organic matter and a little slow nutrition. Eggshells slowly add calcium to the soil. The best way to use it is to mix a small amount into the top layer of soil before planting, or spread a thin layer around the bed and cover it with compost. This works well for tomatoes, peppers, raised beds, and beds that dry out quickly. Number 3. Solid compost. I know compost does not sound as exciting as aspirin, fermented fish, or biochar, but if I had to choose the least controversial thing to improve a garden, I would still choose finished compost. It adds organic matter, helps soil become looser, holds moisture, better feeds microbes, and helps nutrients in the soil release more steadily. The process is very simple. Spread a layer of finished compost around the base like a light mulch, or mix it into the bed before the growing season. For raised beds, perennials, flowers, and vegetable beds, compost almost always has a place. But remember, it has to be finished compost. If it is still hot, still smells rotten, or is still breaking down heavily, do not place it right next to young roots. And if you buy compost from an unfamiliar source, test it on a few plants first. Next is a gentler, finer version made by the smallest workers in the garden worms. Number 2. Worm castings. Worm castings are organic matter that has passed through a worm's digestive system. I know that does not sound very fancy, but for plants it is very comfortable, light, rich in microbes, full of good humus, and much less likely to shock the roots than many stronger fertilizers. The process is very simple. Spread a thin layer around the base, mix a little into potting soil, or add some to the planting hole when transplanting. It works well for seedlings, houseplants, leafy greens, flowers, and plants that have just had their roots disturbed. And now there is only one final type left. It is not just a fertilizer, but an entire system that turns kitchen waste into living soil. Ready? Number 1. Bokashi leachate. This final method begins with the thing most of us just want to tie up in a bag and take outside kitchen waste. Bokashi does not slowly break down waste like an outdoor compost pile. It ferments kitchen waste almost like the way people pickle vegetables. When that process happens inside a Bokashi bucket, the liquid drains down and collects at the bottom. And if you know how to dilute it correctly, this liquid can become a very valuable watering liquid for the soil. The process is very simple. Open the drain tap, collect the Bokashi leachate, then dilute it very well, about 1 part Bokashi to 100 parts clean water. Then water it into the soil around the base. Do not spray it on leaves, do not use it straight, and do not pour it right against young plants. And that is the final secret on today's list. So now you have 21 ways to look at your garden differently. A weak plant does not always mean you have to run to the garden center. Sometimes what the plant needs is in the kitchen. But I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried any method on this list? Or do you have an old trick from your grandparents? And I also want to open up a more serious debate. If America went back to traditional farming methods, like our grandparents used to do, could we reduce or even remove most synthetic chemicals from our food? I believe a better garden can lead to a better life. That is why I created Billy's Smart Homestead to keep old knowledge alive with you, the kind that is cheap, real, and worth passing on.